need to make the movie, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, unaffiliated with this.
Wow. We were just marveling that he had already made Raisin Cookies on the end Moonstruck.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So why did you pick this movie, you lunatics?
We didn't put a lot of thought into it. It was one where you guys asked us to come up with some names, and we just had really fond memories of it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I probably haven't seen it in like 15 years at least, but just remember the first time I saw it when I was like in high school, and just like loving it, because I'd never seen anything like it before. And it just always stuck with me as something that is very special and unique.
Yeah, it's like totally unhinged and also simultaneously so confident in what it is,
And extremely disturbing, but also very funny.
yeah, I mean it's one of those movies that shouldn't work, but it works like so perfectly.
It totally does. His performance is so committed. It's so hard.
This was the first time I had ever seen something with him. The way that I came to it was my girlfriend at the time in high school. Her parents had the VHS, and they had rented it, and we watched it knowing zero. And I just remember the two of us being like, "Oh my God, what is he doing? This is incredible!" Like, we were rewinding scenes, and there's something so electric about every moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he talks a lot about his how much he was influenced by silent film acting, and how he whenever he feels it's appropriate, he loves to bring in that sort of extra large performance style. That was clearly what he was. In fact, there's a lot of faces that are Lon Chaney faces. He's making these stuff. He even seemed like leans into the lens the same way that Lon Chaney would.
Yeah, and how committed to the silhouette he becomes.
Yes,
like he starts
definitely.
to look like Nosferatu, like that very classic vampire silhouette.
Absolutely.
Like his face when he walks up the stairs following her, and it's like in the distance, but it's just like,
Yeah.
and everybody got it. Everybody was locked in, which is great.
Yeah, and I've never seen it in the theater. Like, what an amazing thing to see. I've only had the experience with friends, so.
Yeah, that was a real treat. Yeah.
We should also say, I think that there was some applause when the producer card came up. Do we have Vampire's Kiss royalty in the house? This is producer Barry Shields this year. Thank you for inspiring us and entertaining us. I wish you had under my agreement. Some questions for you.
Yeah, he's in the photo.
So now we're gonna not talk about this movie. That was a great plan. So this is for the show we do called Visitations, which typically we go visit with artists in their homes and spend a few hours together and have kind of a deep conversation. But when we do it live, what we do is we just kind of take a walk through the works of art that most influenced you as artists you are today. So we asked you to prepare these lists of 5 each, and let's just dive in. So I know you each have your own list, right? So we'll be here till about 3 in the morning.
We'll make it quick.
For starters, just to give things some context, is where were you each born, and just a little thumbnail of your childhood?
I was born in a small town in northern Arizona called Flagstaff, which is near the Grand Canyon. Oh, nice. Yeah. And I think relative to LA, certainly very rural, and there was something really, I think, sort of reflecting on it now and just how growing up there might have influenced me. It was isolated. You could drive 5 minutes in any direction and sort of be in the middle of nowhere. And I think that quiet isolation activated my imagination at a really young age. I also think that area, it's bordered on all sides by different Native American reservations and populations, and so I think that part of the U.S. is just saturated with story and folklore, and it's hard to be in that landscape and not feel affected by that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was a really wonderful place to grow up, and I mean, I think in a lot of ways it's, you know, very much, it's influenced the kind of stories that, you know, we tell together and
Yeah.
what my taste is, you know, individually.
So what was the first encounter with a film or work that really got you thinking, maybe I can do this, or let's go to your first thing.
So because, I mean, I think because the podcast is so much about, you know, visiting somebody at home, I try to think of movies that really were personal and like tied me to people in my life or the, you know, home specifically. And so it's really, I mean, it's a very varied list. The first one is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes!
Which was one of the first VHS tapes I ever owned.
Yeah.
It was given to me by my dad, and was,
Your dad gave it to you.
yeah, and it was one of those movies, when I was growing up, I didn't have a really natural connection between fear and fun. Those things weren't simpatico to me. I was a scared kid.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the movies that my dad loved had a real hard genre edge to them. And so growing up, I think my love of the things that were maybe a little bit fringe, it was all about him and his influence. And that, yeah, and that movie was a gateway for me into the genre. And of course, it's like just so wildly campy and fun, but there's also some like legit shit in that movie. Like there's some real scares and some real horror in that movie. And so I think the safety of my relationship with him sort of allowed me into the genre through that movie in a really profound way. And it's just always been, I have such a lovely sense memory of watching it because of a connection to my dad.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
How old were you when he gave you a copy of the movie?
Oh man, I mean, I must have been 9 or 10,
Wow.
you know, so young enough that I think it felt dangerous, you know, which is, I think, what's so beautiful about it for the first experience with the genre. It usually feels like you're reaching outside of your age or comfort zone and into something that feels a little bit forbidden. And yeah, so that was one of the ones that just connected me very close to my dad.
That's amazing.
What was the context of the gift? Was it for a birthday or?
No, I think it was just I love this thing, I want to share it.
It was one of his favorite.
Yeah, it was just like, I think that he appreciated it for just how wacky and silly, and I think he also knew like, I can like sort of start my son on a path to the things that I love, the movies that I love through this. And I mean, you know, it was RoboCop and Predator and Alien and all of the shit after that sort of, you know, Enemy Mine, like some really weird, scary, stuff that it's so great, but I think that he was trying to connect, and that was one of the ways.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and you?
Similar, actually. My first one is also very closely tied to my dad, and it's Aliens, and it's because it was the first R-rated movie that I saw, and my dad took me to see it in the theater as like a secret. He was like, hey, we're gonna go see this movie.
Oh my God.
Don't tell mom.
Don't tell mom. We're gonna go see it. Don't tell your sister. And you know, I must have been like 8 or 9. And yeah, like in hindsight, but my memory is that I had a great time in the movie, but the real memory of it is talking with my dad the whole way home about it.
Whoa.
And mostly about Paul Reiser's Turn and what that was. But for me at the time, it was like, I mean, it's very similar to what you're saying, where it was like a way for us to bond.
Yeah.
And it was really special. And it happened to be a great movie that I still love to this day, but it really set a tone for me on what movies can be and like how they can affect you.
That's amazing. Where did you grow up?
In Oakland, California.
That's so wild that you both had the same kind of origin. Have you talked about this?
No, we kind of like previewed this. We got this the list or the.
Well, this
Or just
specifically
the notion that you both had fathers that were into genre and it was something that you shared.
I mean, I think that we certainly have talked a lot about our shared taste, which I think is really
comes from our dad.
like comes from and I think, you know, our families and our friend groups, and I think that we were, for as different as our upbringings were, like they intersect. The Venn diagram of where our taste intersects is really, you know,
It's
really.
like, it's more than taste. I mean, like you both have exactly the same story. A loving interaction with your fathers over a genre film, and you sort of start to associate love and safety with like fear, the fun
Yeah,
of
which is
fear.
very opposite.
It's very
It's like a
specific,
free time.
and you both have the same story. It's so interesting, I think, when artists form a bond and then you start examining it later, and you're like, we had very similar childhoods, which I don't know, we didn't like, when we met, we go, hey, we have similar childhoods, we should partner up. You realize, there's a certain like inner landscape that maybe has a mirror, that makes it comfortable to work together. That's fascinating.
I don't think we've ever put that together.
No.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I have an older brother, so I had the same thing for my older brother, where he would rent movies with his friends and show me horror movies, and then, tell me not to show not tell my parents.
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it so much.
It's the best.
So, all right, so let's move on to number 2, and as we do, we'll just kind of move through your lives. So,
Yeah.
so at what point did either of you or both of you start actually thinking, maybe I want to do this with my life?
I mean, for me, not till way, way later, because I don't even think I thought it was possible. It was just a thing that I loved and enjoyed, but I don't think it was until, I was in my 20s and I was like, I'll give this a shot. This is like, I love it. I can actually try it. But it was never like, it never felt realistic. It was more just something I really liked. And I started, my first love was music. And then that kind of, I still love, music is still my biggest passion in the world.
Like,
Just
are you a
listening to
musician?
music, just like as an art, just like a listener. And but
Yeah, he's a musician.
I mean, I was in a band when I was younger, but like
What do you play?
guitar.
Oh shit.
Not
know
well.
that.
No, I spent my teen years in punk bands, like driving around and doing all that, and that was really fun. But that gets old as you get old. And so then I really felt, movies was always kind of like the other thing that I loved, and so I started chasing it more, because I just loved it. And again, it's like I think the way that we work and the way, this now, it's like it comes from that sense, at least for me, and I think you share this, that communal sense that music creates.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, tangent. But I was gonna jump off what you were saying about your brother, because that was gonna be my other one was my other first-ish one was Elm Street, because of exactly that, because of a friend's older brother who had it, and it was dangerous, like you were saying about Killer Clowns. Like, it was dangerous, I knew we shouldn't be doing this. It was scary, I didn't even know what it was. And like, I think we got through like that first opening, just with the whatever, claws, I'm calling them claws, in the basement, and just being so terrified that we had to turn it off.
Wow.
And not even knowing what it was yet. And I still remember seeing like Wes Craven's name and thinking that was Freddy Krueger, because again, I was probably like 9 or something. And
You
it
thought
was,
Wes Craven was Freddy Krueger?
yeah.
Such a scary name.
Because
It is
it's
scary.
it's his name.
It's scary name.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a kid. I'm like, oh,
It's a
it's
scary
scary.
Like his real name?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Did you meet him?
No.
You
No,
never
no,
met
it's,
him?
we sort of met him posthumously through all the people that he worked with. I mean, it was one of the most beautiful parts of working on 2 screen movies. Was that we got to, we were introduced to this family of people that he brought together, and I mean, it was really so touching to hear everybody talk about the path that he set their lives on, really, with that first movie, and yeah, it's special to get to know him through other people, but yeah, unfortunately didn't get to meet him in person.
It is one of the things that is so surprising about the genre community is that it's some of the kindest, most well-adjusted people that you'll ever meet, and also incredibly supportive. I think like in the world of like prestige drama and films, and ferociously competitive, step on your head to get where.
Yes.
In the genre community, everyone is so giving and so caring, and like I never met Lynch, but everyone who said he's one of the kindest, healthiest people they'd ever met. And my theory is, it's because you get all that darkness out.
You're so exposed, right? I mean, I think that if, at least for us, to be making something that we really care about, we're sort of exposing either something of our taste or something of our inner lives that we feel vulnerable about. I think that all of the best genre movies do that, right? They like shine a light into the weird dark corners of who we are, and I think that there's a real empathy and a real kindness and a real humanity in people that like want to make that what their life is, you know, to sort of dig around through all that messy shit and to be okay with showing other people how fucked up and imperfect and scared you are and how terrible and chaotic the world can be. I think that is actually a sign of empathy and a sign of connection. And we have found that, I mean, time and time again. I think it's from our earliest, you know, screening at Sundance when we were meeting Ty West and Adam Wingard and Joe Swanberg for the first time, and we were babies, and we were like, I mean, they were idols of ours. We were thinking, fuck, man, are these guys gonna be scary? Are we not like hardcore enough? And then they're just like the most gentle, like nice, lovely people, and you know that's been our experience really through and through in the genre.
Yeah, it's been our experience as well.
This is my second movie. So I think I felt the sparkle of maybe being able to make movies earlier than you. It was still just always a pipe dream, but it's a movie that I feel a real connection to my stepmom through because I sat with her at a film festival and watched Pi, Darren Aronofsky's.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And it was one of those movies that it just felt possible to make. It was so smart, but also so rough around the edges in a way that it just felt accessible. Yeah, totally. And I remember feeling like, oh, you really just have to find friends that want to make shit with you.
Right.
And if you can find that and you know you have the energy to continue to like push forward and push through an idea, then you can make stuff. And that movie was a real eye opener for me. And it's very much my stepmom encouraged me to pursue film, photography, all of that stuff after that movie because she saw in me like that I was sort of set on a path after watching that movie.
How old were you when you saw Pi?
I was probably 14. Yeah, 14 or 15. Yeah, and so after that, I mean, I picked up a camera and started shooting a bunch of stills and worked at film festivals in my hometown, and I was shooting photos for those festivals so that I could meet directors. I mean, it just was like that culture became something that I was so fascinated about, and you know, it really in so many ways led me to actually take it seriously.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
It is what's so inspiring about when you see in a low budget film that moves you is the realization that sometimes just great ideas and great spirit is enough. You know, it's like, what did he have with Pi? Nothing. He had a camera and some wardrobe and a drill, and you know but it was such a rich, full movie, and you know that when you compare it to something like Jurassic Park, right? They're almost like different mediums in some way.
It's like there's invention within limitation in the movie, like and there's invention when you have the resources and technology and you're blazing trails in like new sort of ways with scale and effects, and they're weirdly similar. Jurassic Park is another one that I really dearly love and made me want to make movies. But those two movies side by side are really different, but there's so much invention in both of them.
Yes.
One of them because of how small and how limited it is, and the other for its scale and its scope.
Yeah. For me, it was my was Habit. Did you ever see Habit?
Oh,
the Larry Fessenden film. But what's that?
Love Larry.
Yeah, you have
Larry's amazing.
It's
you would love Habit.
Yeah, Habit was like East Village vampire movie that he shot for like $6, and it was, but it's like a Cassavetes film with a vampire story, and I'm a little older than you guys, but like I was living in the East Village when it came out, and recognized every street corner, and it was that same realization, like, oh, you can do this.
Yeah, you can just go out.
He just did it, and he is a beautiful story with beautiful performances, and I don't recognize a single actor in it, and there's not a single effect. You get to meet your idols, in this business, and I got to meet Larry at one point, and I was like, for 10 years I wanted to know, how did you do those crane shots? Because there's these amazing crane shots in this no-budget movie that have this weird kinetic kind of movement, and they're from the point of view of a bat or something like that. And he said, "Oh, we just tied the camera to a broomstick." And I was like,
Yeah.
Right.
Not a sexy answer, but it doesn't matter.
and also, like, the weird effect of that is way cooler than if they actually had a real crane. You know, it's that kind of stuff that's what I mean about the empowerment of Pi. It's just like they didn't have anything but ideas, and that's just
when you feel that something is handmade with love, it really goes a long way.
Yeah.
Like always.
Yes.
Yeah, when it feels tangible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you can feel the people who made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking love it.
Yeah.
So okay, so Elm Street for you, Pi for you are number 2, and so and you're both, these are both approximately teenage years.
No, Elm Street, that's probably like 10-ish for
Oh,
me.
that was 10-ish, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Killer Clowns early for me, yeah, and then early teens for Pi.
Have you met the Kyoto Brothers? The guys
No.
who did Killer Clowns?
No.
They're the sweetest guys. in the
That's what
world.
we've heard.
They're around. You should.
I know, we're hearing that they're trying to make another Killer Clowns.
Are they? I think they have been.
They're working on a video game.
Yeah.
No, I keep seeing, has it released?
No.
Yeah.
It has it?
The
Like,
game-
it's not?
No,
Is it out?
The game's out, yeah.
Oh, it is?
I mean.
Why are we all sitting here? Why are we not?
You should meet them. All right, so let's move on to number 3.
All right, number 3, a movie that connects me to my mother. Ron Howard, Far and Away. Which I don't. It's weird. It's a movie that I don't think is considered to be like very popular in his canon, but it was one of the movies that, for some reason, just taste-wise, was like the perfect at the intersection of what my mom loved and what I loved, and it was a movie that when we couldn't agree on what to watch, that was always the movie.
Oh wow.
And so watched it, burned through VHS tapes, like wore one out, bought a new one. It was that kind of a
That's
movie for us.
amazing.
And then many years later, when I met my wife, found out that it was also one of her favorite movies. And on one of our early dates, we were quoting that movie back and forth to each other. And she was the only person I'd met that had seen it as many times as I have. And so that movie has just a real special place in my heart, and encourage anybody who hasn't seen it to watch it. Like, the craft of it is like truly mind-boggling.
It's just like the
land
first meeting
race.
of Peter Lowe and his.
Yeah,
I've
it's
never
hard.
seen it.
I haven't done.
Nicole Kidman, Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise, right?
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
sweeping epic.
Sweeping epic. John Williams' score, like one of the best. The Chieftains like played on the score.
Right. Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it's just a really big, beautiful, epic movie.
So he's like a boxer? Or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, bare knuckle boxer.
Wait, so you've made 3 parentals, right? Didn't you? Your stepmom took you to Pi.
Mhm.
Your dad gave you Killer Clowns. Your mom, it was Far and Away.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, very important movie to me.
Was there also a stepdad in the picture?
No stepdad, but a brother, which will be a movie 4.
Oh, got it.
There you go.
This is a massive-
Yeah, I'm excited.
This is incredible.
My next one is Pump Up the Volume.
Yes.
Which I saw probably, we're in probably 12, maybe 14, I think, like early 90s, like 92-ish,
Mhm.
and like when I was maybe just entering high school, but it was the first movie for me that I love like Ghostbusters and all the movies that had great soundtracks, and I kind of loved those as a kid, but Pump Up the Volume was like the first like real soundtrack movie for me, where I fucking tried to find every song that was on it, some of which you couldn't find, and it struck a chord with me at that age where it's kind of weirdly never left, where I go back to it and the movie changes as I get older and times change and you watch it and it's like a different movie every time, but there's something about the core idea of it that just really stuck with me and that I just like loved. But it was, I mean, Tyler knows this, like whenever we do anything, like the thing that I kind of low-key get the most excited about is what songs are we gonna put in it.
Oh wow.
And I think that all stems from Pump Up the Volume on some level.
It's
And
great for me,
Goodfellas
I just
is-
sort of step back, I'm like, I'm just gonna let you cook on the
Oh,
soundtrack.
I love
Yeah.
But I love it. I
What
love
were
it.
some of the songs on the soundtrack? I don't remember.
It's like, well, there's like the Leonard Cohen, I'm Your Man, which I had never heard Leonard Cohen before, so it was like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And you know, and there's like a Beastie Boys song that's still unreleased. There's it's like Dead Milkmen, I think.
Wait, the Beastie Boys song is only in the movie?
Is only in the movie.
What's
It might be on that big release they did, like
their anthology.
yeah, the anthology thing.
Yeah.
There's a song by one of the Neville brothers that like isn't streaming or anything, but I love it. It's so good. But it's that kind of thing where you
It's
just
a great soundtrack where there are songs on the soundtrack that aren't released anywhere else.
yeah.
It's the best.
It's like I always
that tradition
Tyler
is sort of not.
No,
around
now it's
much.
like put the biggest song possible in,
Yeah.
and I think I'm always like gravitating towards that, towards like
Yeah, what's your
introduce
discovery?
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
do that. It's,
And the importance of like the soundtrack
I
as
see.
an object that's like
Right.
attached to the movie.
Yes.
That's a thing that it
Yeah.
feels like it's gotten lost. I mean, like you were saying, it's like
Yeah.
put 3, top 40 hits in and,
Well, part of that was when
Yeah.
we were kids, you couldn't see a movie that
Yeah.
so sometimes all you had was that little cassette tape that
Right.
it was like if you wanted to touch that experience, you'd listen to the
Right.
soundtrack and you'd get so intimate with every single song,
Uh-huh.
and songs that probably in another context you might not even listen to. Like I remember having the Back to the Future soundtrack, like that song Back in Time, not a great song. And yet
You talk about Huey Lewis and the News.
I am, no disrespect to the news, but I'm a big fan of when a pop star is recruited to write a song for the
Yeah.
movie.
Oh,
Like,
it's the best.
Yeah.
Oh,
Originals.
One
The
is
dream.
one of my
Dude, I'll stand behind Cyndi Lauper's Goonies song.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my god.
That was written for Goonies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Goonies are good enough.
Good enough.
Goonies are good enough was written for Goonies, believe it or not.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was good. I
They
didn't
were
know that Goonies are
unbelievable.
good.
Well, I think it was just good enough and they added Goonies
They added-
to the title.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think she wrote it for the movie.
I thought she did.
Did she?
I could be wrong.
She may have.
In my brain,
I'll have to phone a
what are the
friend.
lyrics? Aren't the lyrics?
Wait,
I don't
Goonies
think
are
it's on
good
any
enough?
album
No.
besides
Goonies are
If I've
good
been
enough?
singing
I don't
that wrong,
think. Yeah, I don't think.
it's
I don't think Goonies is in the lyrics. Of the song.
I always thought it was Goonies are good enough. Somebody here must know the
Is
answer.
it Goonies are good enough?
No.
It's not.
This is-
I know this is like a bluegrass.
40 years
Yeah,
of singing
like
that
that.
song.
Goonies are in parentheses,
I
right?
think
So they
Wow.
they took this pre-existing song and put Goonies in parentheses.
Well, she gave them the song. Like it wasn't on an album.
I see.
It was a song that she gave them for the soundtrack.
I need a deep dive on this song.
They also made her music video too.
Right.
Yes.
So they
And
didn't
she's
use
singing
song
it in the
hits.
movie.
Yes.
On
TV.
TV when he's lifting
Yes.
weights or doing whatever he's doing, yeah.
What's the music video?
It's all of. I haven't seen it in so long.
But you must remember.
They're in it though, right?
The kids are in it. Yeah, I mean they
The kids
all.
are in it.
Yeah, they all filmed for a day in Hollywood. And Sean has told me this
Did they have like another Goonies adventure in the music video?
It was adjacent to
Yeah.
the events of the film, if I remember correctly.
Tell me everything.
I think it may have been shot on like the Warner Brothers backlot or something.
That was right.
Yeah. Let's talk about pop songs and movies for a little longer. It's fun. Busted makes me feel good. Should we talk about
Ghostbusters.
that? I see. I'm gonna do one last bit on this. But as you well know, I'm obsessed with. Before I die, I want to hire Sir Mix-a-Lot to do an end credit song with the title of one of our movies in it. It's
I didn't realize this was a dream.
I'm like constantly bringing it up in all sincerity. Is this the one? The best one, also Nick Cage, was Amos and Andrew, which was like a comedy about racism, I think. It didn't work.
They were like
very
on the
well.
run, right? Like,
Yeah, they're on like Sam Jackson and Nick Cage, and then Sir Mix-a-Lot raps the plot of the movie during the end crawl, and
I
it's
love
just
that.
gold.
I love
Sir
songs
Mix-a-Lot.
about
Yeah.
the movie.
Amos and Andrew, yeah.
Will Smith has done that many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
I feel like Sir Mix-a-Lot should do the theme for your podcast. If he's listening. Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Sir Mix-a-Lot. Season 3
For a visitation.
Yes! There's a reason we're here tonight. We really cracked it. We cracked it. Okay, back to
Number
narrative.
4, I believe.
But wait, hold on. I have a question.
Yeah.
12 when you saw Pump Up the Volume. What?
Maybe 14.
Okay,
Trying to
early teens. Yeah. What was going on
for that movie too.
Yeah, just entering high school. So,
Yeah.
Do you remember sort of like what was going on in your life at the time that like in context of why that moved you so much?
I think it was like friend groups, girls, just like that whole like the world opens up a little
Yeah.
bit and you're not just at home with your parents.
Yeah.
And I had a great relationship with my parents, but there was also, it's like that feeling of alienation, feeling that you're always an outcast. I think a lot of people feel, you know, that's all represented in it, and it just, I think that's what it was. Also, and maybe this is flip side of the same coin, but my friends all loved it, and we all kind of loved it together with the soundtrack on. I have like really fond memories of like sitting around listening to the soundtrack with friends, just like in a room.
It's interesting.
It's not a thing you do that much anymore.
It's true. Movies are very social for both of you, which I actually think shows in your films. So like you make crowd experiences, and it's interesting to understand all three movies you've cited were based in relationships.
Yeah, and sharing.
And
sharing
sharing. Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really true. I even Pump Up the Volume, I always remember thinking how cool it was that everybody drove to like the baseball field to listen to the radio show.
Right.
And so they could all be together and listen to this random guy they don't know talk shit and play songs.
Yeah.
I just thought that was like neat.
Oh, it's got the chills. Yeah, because that's kind of what you guys do now. Except you do it with movies instead of
Yeah.
pirate radio. Yeah.
Nothing makes us happier than people getting together and having a good time with something we made.
Yeah.
It's like the fun about it.
It's the best.
All right. 4.
Sure, if I can remember what I chose, which I can't.
Did you take notes?
I did.
I'll go, you'll remember.
Alright, I'll remember.
So my fourth one is very much connected to my older brother, 2 years older than me. The Last Starfighter. It was a movie that we faked sick so that we could stay home and watch it together. And I mean, my parents, like, of course, they knew that we were bullshitting, and so it very rarely worked. But every now and then they go, "All right, we should just let them stay home and watch The Last Starfighter all day," which we did on a handful of occasions. And I feel like there's something about the story of like kids growing up in a small town and wondering what the world outside of the sort of border of their existence might look like, and then they go on like the greatest, most incredible, life-changing adventure that you could ever imagine. And I think that part of growing up in Flagstaff, it felt like for as much as we had access to things, it was a small town, and so I don't know, it just sort of scratched at this idea of a bigger life, a bigger world, like something greater and grander than you could ever imagine that was just maybe within reach. And I don't know, I think that just the movie just touched both of us very, very deeply. And we've been, I don't know how many times we've tried to remake that movie. Chased down the rights for that movie so many times.
Am I crazy, or did I just read something about Last Starfighter?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been sort of tied up. I think it's
Or no,
those-
wait, I was mixed up with Flight of the Navigator. One of those two is currently in the conversation. I
I
can't.
think it's probably Navigator.
Yeah,
okay.
Starfighter's tricky. But yeah, just one of my favorites, and one of my brother's favorites, and
That's awesome.
I remember my fourth, and it's a little bit of a cheat,
Okay.
but I think it sticks with this theme of sharing. I remember one weekend, it could be 2 weekends, I think it was one weekend though, going back in time about a year to like 91-ish, but I remember seeing Boys in the Hood and Terminator 2 back to back with the same group of friends. We went, again, this is like it's that age where you're starting to do things by yourself. And I remember us going, those are really the first 2 movies I remember going to see like with just friends. And they're wildly different movies, but they're both so fucking good. And I just have such a fond memory of that experience with those friends, seeing those movies. And they're movies that I still watch, every few years, and I still love deeply. And I think it's a common theme here, is there's something about that idea of like going to the theater or sitting at home with friends or whatever that is, but it just heightens the experience. I mean, honestly, seeing Vampire's Kiss with you all tonight, a movie that I've seen before, but only either by myself or with like one friend, but to see everybody here laughing and sharing that experience and having a great time, it's just, you can't match it.
No.
Yeah. It's so true, like it's almost like, an act of like a psychic moment in some ways. And I feel that too, like when you're workshopping an edit, I'm obsessed with not necessarily feedback, but watching with people.
Yeah.
You don't even need to hear their notes.
You know right away.
You can feel how it's playing.
Totally.
And which is why I always go like, I just want to get like one or two people at a time, yeah, and it's true, and like my wife and I like screen movies in the backyard, and we just showed After Hours, which, by the way, same writer as
Same
Joseph
writer?
Green, yeah, who also, yeah, isn't that wild? They have very similar kind of vibe to them.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually.
And
That
so-
almost made my list, by the way.
After
After Hours.
Oh my God, I could talk about it for hours. But yeah, my wife's like, but we just watched this. And I said, yeah, but we didn't watch it with these people.
Right.
It's a different movie when you watch it with other friends.
Yeah.
It's funny you brought it up because it was the same girlfriend whose parents had the VHS of this, had the VHS of that, and we had the same. That was the other movie that we had the exact same experience with. We were like,
With his
what's
head,
this?
the screw.
Yeah, and I didn't know what it was. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I never, and I love Goodfellas, so I knew Martin Scorsese, sure, but I didn't know After Hours, and we put it in, and it was a similar thing with Vampire's Kiss. It was like, this shit's fucking great. Where is it going? What is happening?
Yeah.
Like, and it's such a fun experience to experience knowing nothing. And I think, if you watch any of our movies, we are mega fans of one night movies.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Very
it's
tight time.
just the best. And I think,
I love films that take place in one evening.
yeah. And like Adventures in Babysitting, I feel like where it started for me. But then After Hours, and from there, it's like, we could rattle them off all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an interesting observation, but we'll wait till after we've heard 5. So yeah, okay, what's 5?
Oh, 5?
Yeah.
5 for me was Harold and Maude.
Wow.
Because I just love it so much. And I think I probably first saw it when I was maybe like a freshman in college or something, so like 96-ish. And I still watch it every couple of years. I just love it. I'm sure lots of us share it as a movie that is beloved. But yeah, it's one of those singular movies that I think it's new every time, and it's also comforting every time. And that one does not relate to the shared thing, because I don't think I have specific shared memories with people, but in a very personal way. I think it's actually the personal aspect of it. I just remember watching it the first time and like, these are like two characters I've never seen before, like in any way, shape, or form. And then their love story is so special and unique, and like, it's not like anything I've seen before, and I love it.
And you discovered it alone?
Probably somebody told me.
But you watched it alone.
But my memory is watching it alone. Yeah.
That's so interesting, because it is it's a more adult experience, a far more adult experience than the other 5 movies that you mentioned, and it's the first one that you kind of went solo on.
Right.
So maybe that's what its meaning was to you, was like a little bit of a touching adult, the beginning of adult.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Can you relate anything in the film to anything specific in your life that might have made you feel seen or understood?
I just remember at the time, and again, this is like, teenager me, but just like his grappling with what it means to be alive the entire movie, and what's the purpose, and is there joy in it, and joy in the macabre, and maybe that's not the way to go, maybe it is. That really spoke to me. And I think as I get older, it still does.
Also an incredible soundtrack.
Oh my God, again, talk about great soundtracks. Oh my
It's
God.
got Steve Martin.
I used to like one note from any song in there and just immediately like get emotional.
Yeah.
God, that's Cat Stevens too.
Mine is also weirdly not a shared experience movie. But
It is or isn't?
It's not. Sort of like yours.
You're following a perfect pattern.
It's
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Fargo for me. I think it's a movie that never leaves like my top 3. I think it's just the holy grail, and I think for me, represents it's everything that I want to make is in that movie.
Yeah.
It's one of those that you watch, and I don't know if you guys do when you watch and you're like, fuck man, I just wish that I was a part of that in some way. It's one of those movies that whenever I watch it, I just feel like what I wouldn't give to have like brought coffee to the art director.
Amen. I feel
You know,
exactly
it's such an amazing movie, and it's funny and it's dark as fuck, and the music is incredible, and the performances, like the people in it have never been better than they are in it, and I don't know, that movie is just it's everything that I want a movie to be, and it was for me watching it for the first time. I was like, all right, that's the drug that you're gonna chase if you ever get to make stuff, is the feeling of what it was to watch Fargo for the first time.
Yeah, that movie it does incorporate everything too. It is really funny. It's really disturbing at times.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And its ability to pivot in those moments from like that home invasion scene. She pops out with the shower curtain and like bumps down the stairs. It's like funny and like scary and vulnerable. I mean, it's just like a masterclass in tone management.
Absolutely.
And how old were you when you saw it?
Probably later teens when I saw it, so had just had a better sense of my interest in movies at the time. And,
But not college, but close to it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was that was it for me, man. It just put me on a desert island with Fargo, and I'm happy.
And then, how old were you guys when you met? And what were the circumstances?
I was 2 years out of college, so
I'm 5 years older, so
yeah.
Yeah, we met in 2009. Does that sound right?
Well, I think we met
earlier. Right.
We started working together until 2009 because we both worked at New Line Cinema.
Right.
That's where where our paths crossed.
Another fun Public the Volume connection was when I interviewed at New Line Cinema in 2000. They said, "Why do you want to work here?" And I said, "Because you make my favorite movies." And they said, "Which ones?" And I said, "Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday, and Public the Volume." And then we met there. I met my wife there. It's like,
What were you
we were
doing?
talking about this. It's very special.
Yeah.
It's like,
What were your
yeah.
jobs?
I was a male guy.
You were the male guy.
Yeah.
And I started working in post-production, putting barcodes on original negative. So all the old assets that get shot in the mag stock, all the film, like it all got barcoded and put in a library. Iron Mountain, you've driven by it a million times if you've driven Santa Monica and Highland. It's that giant monolithic building. That's all like a film storage
Whoa, I didn't
building.
realize that.
Yeah, I remember like barcoding original Lord of the Rings negative. Like it was one of the weirdest. And then left that job and was an assistant to a physical production executive for a year. And that was where we really crossed paths.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was wild. I got to work on some really cool movies as an office assistant. I would like read budgets and stuff like that. And then left that job and started working on sets. Worked on Semi-Pro, that Will Ferrell movie, as a camera, as a loader.
Which one?
Semi-Pro.
Yeah.
But during that time, we were doing things separate from each other. You were working with Chad, Matt, and Rob, this online sort of collective that you.
We're making like online shorts.
Yeah.
It was like 2007, 2008.
And I was making stuff with the Upright Citizens Brigade, and we were sort of, you guys were in between and trying to get something going. I was in between shoots and was trying to get something going, and we had beers at the farmer's market, and there wasn't an idea. It was like, hey, are you available?
Yeah.
Shoot something.
Yeah. And we've just been working
And
together.
we've
ever
literally
since.
been working together
That's amazing.
ever
Yeah.
since. Yeah. 17 years?
What was the first thing that you did together?
We did what we were calling interactive adventures, or basically choose your own adventures on YouTube, called The Birthday Party. That was the first thing we did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like you can watch it, it's fucking really silly. But it's like this, I don't know, how long did we think it did? 14 minutes?
Yeah, probably
Like
like
6 or 7 little videos, and it's like, we go somewhere, because we're also in it. You go somewhere and then something happens, just to choose your own adventure, but there's like
using YouTube annotations. Like back in the day, remember at the end of
Yeah.
the video, you could link,
super
you
fun.
could click on
Yeah.
a link to another video within the video
Yes,
player.
so, I mean-
So we kind of figured out a way to hack that and give the viewer a choice to click on like what path to go down next.
Oh, that's really fun.
They were really fun.
Are they still up?
They're still
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
That's so cool.
And
We
we'd
have to,
always
like-
have like 10, there'd be like a zombie in it, and then there'd be like a
You're a big
a
genre
heist,
mashups,
and
yeah.
then, yeah, they were like every genre you can imagine in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. That's so, have you
They're
ever seen
very silly.
Taika's early films that he very bravely leaves up on YouTube?
I haven't seen
No.
them.
They're remarkably terrible. But they're also brilliant because you can see that he was already Taika. Like his interests were
Yeah.
evident, even though the filmmaking was incredibly crude. Like he was already doing the gag of, I mean, what I think is like everything ties all of his work together is characters who are typically meant to be very, intimidating and machismo, who are ridiculous. That's kind of like the through line
Yeah.
in everything, whether it's Hitler or vampires or.
Yeah.
So those were what all of his early little shorts were, and I showed them to my students at USC because they're terrible. Yeah, but they're great. But I want, and I'm sure he would agree. But I think they're really inspiring to go like, look, Ian, you know everything right away. It's okay.
Yeah.
I think this is so. I haven't seen your YouTube thing, but I think it's so great to
Not
see
great.
that early stuff.
No, but we credit that platform with so much, right? The
Oh my
immediacy
God,
of like
yeah.
getting feedback
Yeah.
right away, and I mean, we certainly learned to grow thick skin really quick because man, it's people sometimes aren't kind, but that's the reality of like making something, and we love people's opinions. That's why we do what we do. Is we create opinions. We want we want feedback. We don't make something to exist for ourselves in a vacuum. Like it only matters when you let other people into the conversation, and that's a very quick conversation on that platform. And so yeah, I mean we worked for years. That was our
It was a lot
our,
friendlier.
yeah.
It was fun.
It was friendlier.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was early days. I mean, we were one of the first.
I think our first one was like 2007 or something.
Yeah, we were one of the first creator groups to like have 100,000 subscribers, which is like nothing now. But it was like way early days of YouTube. Yeah.
It's so cool.
The other thing I think is so inspiring about your story is I think that for young filmmakers starting out, there's often this focus on some more established part. Like I'm gonna meet one of my heroes. They're gonna reach down with their magic wand. They're gonna change my life, and that does happen sometimes. But the really important relationships are with your peers. Those are the ones that actually change your life. And the way I always say it is, don't reach out, reach out. Right? Like the people who are gonna change everything are next to you. They're not up there. And where do you find them? You find them in places that you gravitate to, like New Line Cinema, right? Of course you're gonna meet your partner there because you both chose that place as the place where you wanted to realize your dream. And so the other thing I just want to say, we do this a lot, and you guys are the first ones who all your films were like childhood. Everybody else, there's maybe one in childhood, and then the rest are, which I think actually says a lot about the spirit of your work.
We're childhood.
What's that?
No.
No, not at all. I think that there's a beautiful childlike's not the right word, but like a spirit of adventure.
I don't know. I appreciate that because we talk about it a lot. It's like that. I think the feeling we're chasing when we make something, it's to create not like just to Xerox that stuff, but it's to create the feeling we have.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just about nostalgia and giving
No, not at all.
something that feels familiar. It's the feeling of it.
Yeah.
If we can give people the feeling that we had when we were 11, 12, discovering for the first time and having such a blast with it.
Yeah, and we're not idiots, but I don't think we approach the process like intellect first. It's like an intuition first process for us. Like how does it feel?
Yeah.
And it's oftentimes when we've made a choice that feels right, that then we go, oh right, it feels right because of all of these thematic reasons and all of these things that make sense to the story. And sometimes it starts from that. Like you have to, sort of, sometimes you work from the middle out, sometimes you work from the back forward, and vice versa. But for us, it feels like we're really cooking when we're making decisions with that feeling of
Yeah.
what we grew up loving and, you know, chasing and wanting to share that feeling with new audiences,
Yeah.
new people.
Nothing worthwhile is made from the intellect. Intellect is a great editor.
Yeah,
It's not a great
Yeah,
creator.
right. It's a tool that you have to deploy at some point in the
Yeah,
process,
yeah.
but yeah, you want to make something. I mean, one of the things we love about the last few years is we've worked really fast, and I think part of the benefit of working fast, you know, making things back to back, is that you don't have a whole lot of time to like
Yeah.
sit and toil.
Analyze
It's
it.
like, oh, just
Yeah,
go.
break it
Like,
down.
what's the feeling of being there and having, you know, having the idea in the moment, and you know, there's something really, really beautiful and really raw about that.
Yeah.
There's also the partnership is really nice in a similar way for somebody can be kind of like the dreamer and someone can be the intellect simultaneously. Because a lot of times you'll have a scene or something where it's like, oh, but I love that because it makes me feel like this, and then the other voice can come in and say, yeah, but if you feel like this here, you're not gonna feel like this here. And we have to be conscious of that too. So it is kind of being able to like have that conversation, not just alone in your own head, but together.
That's awesome.
It's cool, it's fun.
But
Tell us more about Taika's movie.
He's way too busy being famous to pay attention to what I'm saying about this YouTube shorts. My last question is, you know, there's so many stories of partnerships or groups that don't last more than a handful of years, and then something goes wrong, they burn out, and you guys aren't that. Why?
Because I don't think we're interested in the ego of what we
truly
do.
gonna say that.
Like,
You
I
guys don't
really,
possess it.
the
It's not
idea
in
that
you.
I don't feel the need to be the person that has the right idea.
Yeah.
I know you don't feel the need. It doesn't matter. And by the way, when you don't feel that way, like that's necessarily your job all of the time, it means that you can get the great idea from anywhere. And sometimes that great idea is like not what you were expecting, and you know. So I think it's just that we're not driven by that feeling of ownership. It's you know. It feels weird when we see our names up on a movie as directors, because you realize when you're making something just how much is required of everybody that's making it to make it what it is. Like they're little miracles. Like you're only a few choices away from it being something that it shouldn't be. You know, it's a very like vulnerable format to work in, and so to have ego in the mix is just it's so volatile. It's like such a dangerous thing, and I think we both have beaten that out of each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's, you know, when we were first starting, there was this, you know, we got our first feature and we were excited and it was awesome and we were thrilled, and then the big fucking hurdle was we had to go convince the DGA that we were should be allowed to do it again.
Right.
And it was a pretty shitty process.
Terrifying.
I mean, it was like,
Yeah, we were sitting in a room of our idols who were basically interrogating us about
As to
our
why
process.
the legitimacy of your
Yeah.
directing.
some of them have since apologized and been really cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
The reason that we got the waiver was Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
He spoke up, and you know, everyone was sort of getting heated, and it was like not going our way. It was not going well.
These are about a bunch of shorts that we had made.
Some together, some
It's like,
separate.
yeah, you know, it's like, and I remember them asking you, somebody who said, Tyler, why did you work on something that Matt didn't work on? And I just remember you going like, well, I got paid like $150 and I didn't even pay rent. Like, it was like but they were like, how would you do it without Matt? And if you can, you guys should have worked together.
Would you ask the Coen brothers the same thing?
Yeah, it's pretty. It was
bananas.
It was but Favreau, he was like, what are we fucking doing? He was like, I came up when I entered the DG, I was making movies. No one had made a movie the way that like me and Lyman were making things, and like, there has to be room for us to evolve as a guild to allow you know new processes and new ways of doing things to enter the conversation, and you know thanks.
We still get teased sometimes.
What was the film?
It was called Devil's Due. It was off the top.
There was
We don't need to go deep.
and they put you in a room with a bunch of like famous directors.
Well, so what happens is, yeah, we'll give you a little more context. What happens is, Fox says one of you can direct. And we're like, yeah, but we do this together, is what we do. And then Fox, Steve Asbell, who we love and now runs Fox, truly like really great friend. And he was like, well, it's gonna be one of you, or you can try to fight with the DGA about it, but it's not gonna happen. And we said, please let us do it.
Wow.
Please, please, please. And everybody had to like pull strings to get us in. And then we went in, and we were told that it would be.
This is like your trial, effectively.
Yeah, and essentially it would be the end of the partnership if we didn't like pass this trial.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was a very, like, the stakes were incredibly high.
Well, that's the funny part.
So it was supposed to be, we were told that it was gonna be.
A couple people
like
in the room.
probably no more than like 5 or 6 people. The day that we went in happened to intersect, to coincide with the DGA awards. So there were UPMs, ADs, there were guild members from all over the country in LA, and there was a gala happening, so a lot of them just happened to also decide to attend our public execution. And so we walked into a room and there were like 50 or 60 people, like, and they were, I mean, it was like
It's like Ready or Not.
it was like a full-on Hunger Games level situation where they were like watching us get our asses.
Well, there's it's funny because you walk in and it's like where we're sitting. You're Taylor Hackard. Taylor Hackard was the president at the time, and so you're Taylor Hackard in this situation. There's this giant table like the War Room in Dr. Strangelove, and Taylor Hackard stands up and he welcomes us in, and then it's like there's a whole crowd, like literally reporters, and we go up and we sit down kind of right next to Taylor Hackard. He's really nice. He's like, okay, so here's the deal, and this is Thailand, we're gonna do the same. And then, so there's probably 15 people around, and yeah, it's like, and again,
like all giants. Like,
yeah,
So
it's
let's say
Leslie Lunga,
yeah, like really like people we look up to.
Who else? Come on.
Donald Petrie. I mean, I'm
Some
of my
it's a bit of a
you sort of black out of it.
Yeah.
By name number 6,
But it lasts-
idol number 6, you're like, foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, and it lasts, and it was like they just jumped in. There was no like pleasantries after Taylor Hackard was done, and it lasted for like probably an hour and change.
Yeah, it was not a short.
No, it wasn't short.
It was not a short.
And then we went and they said, we'll know soon, and we went and sat around for probably an hour or two. We went to Snake Pit.
They deliberated?
Yeah.
They sit there and you leave, and then they discuss it. And then this guy there.
Anything like this?
Oh, it was bananas. And then Brian, this guy that works there, he was really supportive of us and really like helping us along the way. Like, here's, and I remember we were like, well, fuck it, I guess we're not gonna hear tonight. So, we had a couple beers and then went home. And then as soon as we got home, we got a text that just said, you guys are good, or something to that effect. We were like,
How did you find out it was Fabro who stood up for you?
it was in the room.
In the moment.
Oh, it happened in the room.
It happened in the
Yeah.
moment.
I mean, we don't know what happened when we left, but in the room it was, everyone was, testing us.
Right.
Which was the point, to be fair.
Sure.
And then he kind of was like, can we all just like calm down?
I mean, the entire idea of testing you though, it just seems so.
It's weird.
It's silly and arbitrary. It's like, why are we having this conversation to test about how you need him or vice versa?
Yeah.
It's just your process.
Yeah.
You've proven it. You've already been working together. I don't know. Just such a funny.
We've talked to some people about it since, and they said it has to do with like the history of back in like John Wayne would like change words and then be like, it's my
Wanna be
movie
a
now.
writer,
And-
wanna be a
Right.
writer.
But
Right.
that's
Right.
not
No,
now.
I do get that.
That could get a little messy if.
But yeah,
Sure.
it was hard, especially when it's your first thing and it's such a big opportunity, and then there's this big giant shadow kind of hanging over it. You're like, we might not even be able to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Well, that's an amazing story.
So, Sir Mix-a-Lot, I'm thinking.
Yes.
Guys, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me.
so much.